everybody. All right. Welcome. Rhythm, timing, tempo, beat, backbeat, backing track, strumming patterns, creative strumming. All right, these are all things that we can never, ever let go or let slide, okay? So lately we've been talking a lot about upper echelon stuff, bougie stuff like triads and scales, playing lead and power chords and all these kind of things, right? But at the end of the day, without solid backbeat and being able to hold the beat and being able to play in some sort of rhythm, without that, we'll never need the other stuff because we just won't ever be able to play any piece of music that will require us using them. Okay, it's really that simple. So for me, I didn't use a metronome, for example, my first couple of years. So I had to go back and introduce it into me after a couple of years. And it was a little difficult at first. But so at first, I was kind of like, I was way off the beat. I was missing the one and I couldn't, wow. So that's going to happen, especially for you raw beginners, right? So what I would do at first is crank up the volume of your metronome, if that's possible, so that it's overwhelmingly and it forces you. Because what's happening is you're trying to listen for the metronome, and that takes away your focus at a beginner stage of forming your chords, landing your chords properly, keeping track of that internal 1, 2, 3, 4. You're not hearing the metronome because you're so focused on other things. Now, eventually, once you start to relax, okay, you'll be able to hear it, and your internal clock will take over, and everything will sync nicely. But that might take some time. It might take a few nights. It might take a few days. It might take a few weeks. It could take longer. But with me, when I went back to it after a couple of years of playing, I was already writing songs, and I still had never used a metronome. And when I went back to it and introduced it into my practice routine, it was difficult. I was like, oh my God, this is weird. But only for really a few hours, maybe a night or two. And then I found myself turning it right down because I could already subconsciously hear it. And that's what you want to get to. You want to get to that point where you don't even need it. But if you do need it, you're not really listening to it. It's there. Your brain is hearing it. Your ears are hearing it. But it's not overwhelming. And that's the point we want to get to. Because again, without that, we can't play any music. So here are a few things that I urge you to do if you're not doing already to keep up your rhythm and your sense of timing. And that is to play along with either a metronome, a backing track, or a drum machine. Now in this case I have a little drum loop set up that you heard in the intro, and I also have some backing tracks that we can play along to, okay? Now when you're playing a chord progression, the timing and the tempo are just one component of what separates this chord progression from that one. They're exact same, but this song sounds different than that song. Well, timing, rhythm, and tempo are a big part of that. Okay, how we strum those 4 chords determines what they're going to sound like. And then they put a vocal melody and melodies over top of those chord structures to turn it to an individual song. But it's the backbeat is the big part of that, right? So we need to be able to play in different beats, different rhythms, or else everything we do will sound the same. We want to implement creative strumming. We can do anything we want. We can strum like this. The key is to do that throughout at the same tempo, okay? Start the song the way we finish the song, the way we start the song, okay? That's the goal here. we can alternatively strum again, as long as it's consistent and as long as it's in time. Right? So it sounds so easy. But is it? All right, we're about to find out. Okay, so the first thing we're doing is we're playing to a backing track, like a drum sort of, I don't know, like a drum beat, okay? So this is, eventually you'll know this, but this is like I'm figuring around 100 to 105 beats a minute, okay? So it's got some up tempo to it. Now I'm going to pick out a spot. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. I'm hearing the backing track, but I'm not. Okay, so that's keeping in time, right? It's so important. Now, if for some reason that you do slip out, it's okay. Just let everything settle down, right? And jump right back in. Pick a spot in that beat as you're down, as you're opening one. Right? See, there's nobody here. We're playing by ourselves, so it doesn't really matter when we start. But once we pick a spot, we got to stick to that spot through everything. All of our counting comes off of that spot, whether we do it internally or we do it out loud. 1, 2, like I did at the end there. Okay, that's so important to maintain the tempo. So again, now we're going to put this to a live backing track. Now we're going to play those that same chord progression. Okay, so D, A, B minor, C, G. Now, for some reason, if you want to eliminate that B minor, you're only doing yourself pain because it does come up in a lot of songs that you're going to want to learn. But if for now you're not ready to play that B minor or it's going to get in the way of you kind of soaking in the backbeat, you can put a capo on 2 and play C, G, A minor, F. Okay, so C, G, A minor, F. You can play along to this video with a capo on 2 playing those chords. All right, so that you'll sound the same as me, if that's your end goal. All right, so in this case, let's run this backing track. Wait for it to come around. G. Here we go. Bar chords. Go. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I start my practice routine off like this. So I'll come down, I'll get everything set up, I'll sit down, and I'll flick on a backing track or a drum machine or something. And I'll just play around. I'll just play some basic chords over that beat, just to kind of get everything working, right? That's my standard start the practice routine. I'll play that over and over again. I say for a few minutes, but it turns out sometimes be 10, 15 minutes. And you know what? It helps so much. Even when you're listening to music, when you listen to a song and you pick up your guitar, you tend to hone right in on the bass or that bass drum, and you start listening for the 1, 2, 3, 4. Where is it? How fast is it? How slow is it? Okay? How can I play along to it? That's the first thing. And then from there, you just want to adjust that, get that internal clock going, right? So lastly, what I might do on some of these like chord progressions, especially to a backing track, is what you kind of saw me do, is I will improvise and change the strumming up. I know, that's so common sense, Ray. Like what? Well, you know what? It is and it isn't. You'd be surprised how difficult this can be. All right? So remember, at the very first time, if you're having trouble picking up that metronome, trust me, that's normal. But what you can do to help out is just pump the volume of it so that you're forced to hear it. Okay? Maybe even to the point where it almost drowns out the chords you're playing, but at least equally, if not a little bit above your chords. That way you're forced to hear it, and you're kind of forced to adhere to kind of make sure that there's my one, okay? And then as you get more used to it, you can lower the volume, all right? So I just thought I'd throw this in there because it's very important that no matter what we do on guitar, remember, even when we play solos and leads, we've got to keep the time of the music in our mind. We've got to play our solos or our triads or our power chords or our bar chords. We've got to play them to the beat of the song. So that's something that no matter what we do, having a sense of timing and rhythm is at the base of all of it, all right? So I hope this helps. Get it into your practice routine daily if you haven't already. And we'll see you again soon. And remember, see, this is what happens when you play your guitar. This is how you get better. All right, talk to you soon.